guys, it's Misty and I'm here with a very special video. It's not a Misty Meets, it's not an Ask Misty, and it's not a Misty Minute. This is more like a Misty Hour. Just kidding. It's going to be my recap of the 2013 Drag Stars at Sea with AlandChuck.Travel. Oh my god. It was amazing. I had so much fun. The best part about the trip, and you've probably already seen in my video about my lashes, which you could see here, I already did a tribute video just to my lashes. I have the most amazing fans. It shocked and amazed me that people would come from around the world to meet me and hang out with me. And it was such an honor and a privilege to actually hang out with them and spend time with them. There's a lot of things I learned on this cruise that I'm going to do differently for next year. There's a couple things I wanted to do with my group, but I didn't know who was all in my group, and I didn't have a way to contact people in my group. So a couple of my surprises have fallen short, but next year I'm going to make sure that they are amazing. So if you do sign up for my group next year, make sure that I do know in advance that you're in my group so I can add you to a private Facebook group for my lashes. And yeah. Alright, so the recap video is going to be in 3 parts. Number 1, why I loved it. Number 2, what you missed. And the third part is going to be the good, bad, and the ugly, the differences, and yeah. I'm probably going to talk a little bit about the cruise that's going to happen next year, the Mayan Adventure, but I'm doing a completely different video for that, so I'm going to try to limit my discussion about that until I actually assign my artist contract. But yes, there will be some differences that are obviously going to be very different for the next year, and I do want to talk about a little bit of them. The biggest reason why I love this cruise, but I know that you're going to love this cruise, is because it's like a family reunion. All these different people, gay, straight, bisexual, transsexual, drag queens, bears, circuit queens, children. There were kids on the group, in the AlandChuck.Travel group. There were several kids. Even Serena Cha-Cha put one of the girls in her number, just put her on stage and said, look, you can be a drag queen for a day. I think she was 12 years old, and she really wanted to go on the group. Some people in our group were special needs. Their parents wanted them to meet celebrities that would be nice and actually hang out with them from the TV and things like that. So yeah, we had an amazing, very eclectic group of people. And just like I talked to my last year's recap of the 2012 cruise, which I'll put here, it was very much that. Like, if I was anywhere by myself, I would look and be like, hey, you have a white bracelet, can I hang out with you? And it was very that. Like, it was very like, of course. It was awesome. I mean, really awesome. I've never been on an Atlantis cruise or an RSVP cruise, but there was a lot of comparisons about the RSVP and the AlandChuck cruise because now I've worked a lot of gay days parties and circuit parties and raves and things, and I know that it tends to turn into a muscle body fest and a hookup orgy. Like, everyone on the dance floor has their shirt off, and it's very like, who has the best abs, who's the hottest guy I'm going to sleep with tonight, and it really wasn't like that. I mean, really, honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't take a lot of pictures of them, but if you look for the hashtag #DragStarsAtSea on either Instagram or Twitter or possibly Facebook, you're going to see a lot of bears. There were probably more bears than there were drag queens on the boat. And I'm including the entertainers. They even had a huge bear party. What's Happening magazine was there and actually scouted the bears for their bear magazine, or their bear issue, their cover models and things like that. So there was a photo shoot of the bears for What's Happening magazine. I have no idea when that's coming out, but there were a lot of bears. And there were straight people, lots of straight people in our group as well. Families, real families. Mystique Summers, her entire family came. Alexis Mateo, her entire family came. And I was a little jealous. I'm like, your mom is on the cruise to watch you perform and hang out? That's something that would never happen to me. My family is very religious, and so yeah, I was a little jealous. But not only are we a big gay family, but some of our real families come and hang out on the group as well. The cool thing about another cool thing about the AlandChuck groups are you get all the AlandChuck parties, and there were a lot of parties this year. We had the question and answer, we had all the 3 major shows. There were 3 major shows with about 10 girls in each show, and then a couple little shows. Pandora Box had her show. She had a one-woman show. Michelle Visage had a woman's cabaret where she sang, and a couple other theatrical acts performed. And then there's the DWV, Detox Willem and Vicky Vox had their show. And then, of course, we can't forget the Jinx Monsoon one-woman show. It was amazing. I mean, it was so much to choose from. But not only do we have the AlandChuck.Travel things, you also had the MSC things that if you wanted to go to the spinning class or the bingo or whatever they were doing on the boat, you were welcome to do that as well. So literally from 5 o'clock in the morning until whenever you went to bed, you could look and have your itinerary filled up. Granted, most of the drag queen people did late night things. I don't think anybody was up at 5 o'clock in the morning doing their shuffleboard or whatever they did. I looked at some of their events and I was like, I'm so glad we have our own parties, because I wouldn't have wanted to do anything anyway that they had planned. And I guess that's my biggest point about going on a cruise. I already did a cruise video about why cruising is the best way to travel, but if you go with just your honeymooner, that's one thing, because you're obviously going to be preoccupied. But if you're just going with 1 or 2 people, there's not a lot going on. And if you go with 1 or 2 people on the AlandChuck.Travel, you're going to meet tons of people. Even people that I never spoke to and never talked to. A lot of people I recognized from last year, and I would walk up to them, or they would walk up to me like, hey, I know you from last year. And it was just, again, a family reunion, and it was just an amazing experience. One like I've never been. Honestly, it was like church camp. I think I said that in last year's video, but it was like church camp. Like that time when you go for an entire week and you just make really strong friendships. And I talked about it in my lashes video, but I made some really strong friendships with my lashes, and I'm actually going to one of their weddings this year in England. So yeah, it's for real an amazing event, and I truly recommend it to everyone watching this video. And again, it's not where you go, it's who you're going with. And that's the big thing about going with a big group like this. It's you're a team, you're an event. And every excursion I went on, I ended up making friends with more people. Like, I invited all my lashes in my group on to every event that I went. Some of them went, some of them didn't, some of them had money to, some of them didn't have money to, etc. But no matter what I did, I ended up making friends with people on my excursion. And it was just, oh my god, it was so much fun. And like last year, we did the Caribbean, and a lot of people are like, you're going to do the Caribbean again? I'm like, it's not where you go, it's who you go with. And yes, next year we're doing Mexico again, and I'm totally going. Have to. It's the rules. Alright, so the second section, what you missed, what I did, what happened, etc. I'm going to do my very best to remember everything that had happened and taken place. AlandChuck.Travel was really good about doing their pre-cruise party in Fort Lauderdale. They called it the Pillage and Plunder. They invited all, last year they involved several clubs, but this year everyone just invaded the manor. Unfortunately, I had to work and I couldn't go. Living in Fort Lauderdale, I just only took off the days I had to. But yeah, I did have to work, so I didn't actually go to the Pillage and Plunder, but I know it was a huge event, a huge success. All the girls went to the manor, a lot of the locals went to the manor, and of course the cruise people went to the manor. There were shuttles to and from the hotel picking up people. So it's like, if you want to hang out with people before the cruise, that was a great way to do it. Some people actually flew in and went straight to the boat, which you could do, which is kind of what I do, except for I didn't fly, I drove. But day one was Miami. We all go to the port of Miami. I believe the boat was boarding between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. I think 3 o'clock was actually the very last allowed on, but it was to finish at 4. But the boat actually didn't leave till 9. It was a later departure, so we were actually on shore, no motion sickness, and the cool thing about being in the port is we still had our cell phones. They weren't on international traveling, so I actually took a lot of video and went all around the boat the first day doing video on my phone for Instagram and things when I landed, of my hotel room and stuff like that, and for this video. But my phone was stolen from my room on day 3, and I emphasize stolen from my room. I had it in my safe the first 2 days, and the third day I took it out of my safe because it's what I use to fall asleep. I play spades or euchre or hearts on my phone, and it makes me tired. And so I pulled my phone out of the safe, and I was playing it, and I remember falling asleep and it falling on the floor. So what I think happened was the people that cleaned my balcony or my steward accidentally stepped on it and threw it off the balcony because he was afraid of losing his job or something. I don't know what happened. All I know is I reported it stolen. The guy in the front desk was shocked and was like, there's so many people losing their iPhones this year. I did the whole iCloud thing, I did the whole reporting it stolen thing, locking it up thing, but it hadn't been turned on in over 48 hours. So and that's from when I landed. So, and it hasn't been turned on yet. So I don't know what happened to it. It's just gone. And I tore my room up. I flipped my beds up and discovered that your beds are huge underneath and you could put your suitcases under there. I'm assuming about that here. So yeah, I moved everything in my room and my phone was definitely not in my room. So I'm a little bitter about that. Actually a lot bitter about that. But that's a whole other story. Alright, so day 1. All that footage was lost. I don't have that footage for you now, so we're going to have to improvise with photos and things, because I did have my regular camera, but not my iPhone with video. The first night we had the DWV concert, Detox, Willem, and Vicky Vox. It was an amazing show, of course. You know their hits, they're amazing. Chow Down at Chick-fil-A, and That Boy is a Bottom, songs like that. They actually had a lot more songs than I knew that they had, and they turned it. They had their own private show, the 3 of them. They all did solos, and then they did group songs, and they just played up with the audience. It was a good time. That was the first night. Then we went to dinner. At dinner, I'm going to confess and tell you that I was really disappointed with dinner. Dinner on the Carnival was like, not a formal event, because they only had 2 formal nights. And so did the MSC. But it was like a gala, like it was a to-do. I don't know why, but it just felt like, it's dinner. I don't know, it was just weird. I don't know how to explain it. But I think it was mostly also that it is a European cruise line, and there was a lot of people talking about how when the boat first came to the US, everyone complained about the food, but the food was totally changed. And I don't think it was. And if it was changed, it wasn't changed enough. The portions were very, 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 very small. I guess Europeans eat a lot less than Americans. Long story short, the food after dinner, you had to go to the buffet and eat more because dinner wasn't enough. But my biggest complaint was, it was like nursing home food. Actually, the entire boat was nursing home food. I'll go into that later, sorry. That's good, bad, and the ugly. But yeah, I felt the dinner portions were bland and small proportioned. So that night I kind of decided I'm probably not going to come back to dinner. Not much went on the first night. That night I didn't dress up, I didn't do drag. I hadn't even went to bed the night before because I stayed up all night packing and getting ready for the cruise. And I went to bed pretty early. I woke up about 1 p.m. Again, I hadn't slept much packing and working before the cruise. So I woke up about 1, I went down to the buffet, and at the buffet I saw Frank, one of the AlandChuck.Travel team. and he was like, oh my god, Misty, you're performing today. I'm like, yeah, I know. And he goes, you have to be there at 2:30. And I'm like, oh, well, isn't the show at 4 o'clock? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, well, I was planning on showing up at 3:30. He goes, no, there's only one way in the theater. You have to go through the theater, down the stairs, then go through the stage to the back of the stage. And I'm like, oh my god, can we do our makeup back there? Yeah, huge dressing room. So I scarfed down my, and I'm like, what time is it? Because I didn't have a watch or a phone. He goes, it's 2 o'clock. So I'm like, fuck. So I ran back to my room, shit showered, shaved, packed my bag, and ran to the theater. And I can't believe I made it because I was there by 2:30 and getting ready. And it was a very fun experience. It was Kiki hanging out backstage. The girls were all joking and teasing me. Alaska kept asking me Misty minutes and Ask Misty's live and in person. I think one of them was, dear Misty, I have glitter on my teeth. Is it okay if I suck dick? And I was like, alright, this Ask Misty is about glitter on your teeth. And if you're into safe sex orally, I don't suggest sucking dick with a condom and glitter because that might, you know, and I was just going on and they were kikiing. It was fun. I wish I brought my camera because there was a lot of kikiing backstage, but I didn't. But that was the first big show. It was Morgan McMichaels. She did a Gwen Stefani impression. Alaska sang live. Stacey Lane sang live. Manila sang live. Jade Sotomayor did a normal number, I think. I was backstage, I couldn't see her. Michelle Visage sang live. Then me, I did an Adele impersonation and I wore her live at the Royal Albert Hall hair. I figured it was a big stage, so the bigger hair the better. Linacia Sparks did an amazing mix alien thing. Yara Sofia did a cousin it thing, turned it. Vivian Panay got proposed to as soon as her number was over. It was really sweet and romantic, and thank God I was done performing because I was crying like a baby, and I'm like, I don't even know these people and I'm crying. Then it was Fifi, and Fifi did an amazing Miley Cyrus production. She turned it. And then Sharon Needles sang live. And that was the entire first show. After that show was dinner, and that was the gala. That's when everyone was supposed to dress up and look gorgeous. And that was my last night at dinner. I was already dressed up, so I'm like, I might as well go to dinner. And that was my last night at dinner because, again, the food was bland, the food was small proportioned. That night was our first theme party. It was the pool party. The MSC had a covered pool, and it was going to be at the covered pool because it wasn't going to be so windy, and it was going to be in case it rained or whatever. But all the pools closed at 10 p.m. and that's when our party started. So they were like, let's go to the big pool because, yeah, why have the small pool when you can't get in anyway? So we all went to the big pool. Shishi LaRue was the DJ, turned it. Everyone actually turned it. A lot of people turned it. Some people just did swimsuit costumes. Some people did Aqua the Color costumes. I think the girl that won the $500 costume contest that night was like a merman, like the swamp thing from the Blue Lagoon. Her name is Charity Steele, and she's from Australia. I also really liked, there was these two mermaids. Their outfits were amazing. I thought they could have won, but they didn't. I kind of went to bed a little bit early that night because, and by early I mean like, I think 3, because the next day I woke up for an excursion. And that was the first night I really discovered that the food was not open when you leave the club. And the MSC Cruise did not have 24-hour food buffet or pizza bar or dessert bar or anything. And it was very disturbing. I was very upset. So I went home, went to bed hungry, and woke up and went to Jamaica. Yes, I got off the boat in Jamaica. My whole big thing is, if you're going to do it and if you're going to live life, you might as well go all the way. And I knew that we would be in the touristy part of Jamaica with a group, with a tour guide, with a MSC excursion. Not just wandering through Jamaica by yourself in the country, which might not be so safe, especially for a flaming homo. So I did get off the boat, and the boat docked at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I decided to do the Taste of Jamaica with Chaka group. We were in Falmouth, Jamaica.
Alright everyone, welcome to Jamaica. Most of all, welcome to Trucker. My name is Wilana.
And we ended up touring a huge plantation. The house wasn't huge. It was built in 1700, and so it was a normal 1700 house, or it'd be a normal house today, but a huge house back then. But it was all original things. It was amazing. My friend Mark was with me and took a lot of pictures. The unique thing about this house was they had a death room, because the house was built in the 1700s for a girl named Elizabeth, and she died 7 years later. And since it was built for her, she has like a grave in a room in the front of the house. In the very back of the house, they have a separate room, which was called the safe room. But on top of the safe room was which would be like a panic room, and on top of the safe room was the money room. They believed that you had to count money outside of the house, and then it brought wealth and more money into the house. They also showed that the roof was the original roof, and it had holy slats, and the wind, so it would breeze, but for some reason when it rained or got wet, it got fatter, so it didn't pour water in, and the walls were all ventilated like air conditioning. I thought it was still really hot. I'm in Florida and I like modern day air conditioning, but you definitely felt a breeze. The weird thing about Jamaica to me was the roads. We were on a 20-minute bus ride to the plantation, and the roads were like one-lane roads, and they were like this. Like Alaskan mountain roads is what I would refer them to as. And the bus was honking around every corner, just because they wanted you to stop if you heard the horn honking, because obviously you would crash into our bus because they couldn't see you going around like all these trees and things. The food, they had us taste all this curry and Jamaican. I love Jamaican food. Jamaican food is fire hot. There was nothing hot. The curry wasn't even spicy. So I think they were catering to the MSC clientele, thinking that they were all old people and wanted no flavor or no spice. So I was really discouraged about that. But the Jamaican people were very, very kind and very funny. And I was with a big group of gay people, so we were acting out of, you know, definitely gay, let's put it that way. And they just laughed and had a great time, and the girls were kikiing and with us, and the guys just, I don't know, it was just a very different reaction than I expected, let's put it that way. But again, we were in the tourist area, not in rural Jamaica out by the, you know, our lonesome walking down a street. Also, in my group, I met a big transgendered group of maybe like 7 or 8 girls, and I didn't really find out what the name of the group was, but they were with the AlandChuck group, but I never saw them again. I never saw them at the shows or the nights, so I think they just went on the AlandChuck group because they knew it would be a safe place to hang out and they wouldn't be judged and they could dress up, and because I think they were a little older. I think some of them were full-time and I think some of them were part-time, but they were all dressed, and I thought I was really impressed because a lot of the people on the boat didn't even get off. And they got off, and not only did they get off, but they were dressed up. But again, I never saw them again. I didn't see them at any of the parties, I didn't see them at any of the shows, but I was hanging out with them in Jamaica in my excursion. I collect shot glasses, and I remember buying this one little bikini glass, and the one girl was like, "You have good taste." And that's how I realized, oh my gosh, there's trannies hanging out with us. And then when you got back on the boat after Jamaica, we had the onstage question and answer. Last year, the question and answer was broke up into 2 different sections. This year, it was 1 section. I really, really liked that much better. Because when it was broken down into 2 nights, the same questions were asked. A lot of people don't ask questions. They just say, I love you a lot. You know, the typical, I don't know what to say, I just want to say something question. But I really, really liked them all together in one seating. I felt it was much more effective. After the onstage question and answer, we had dinner. Dinner, I decided to totally skip it, and I went straight from dinner to getting ready for the red party. That night was the red party. I went in a lingerie look. It was so fun. Last year, the red party was the party that everyone dressed up for. This year, I don't think everyone dressed up, but a lot of people still went. It was still a very fun, effective party. Pandora Box also had her one woman show at the same time, so that could be why it wasn't so crowded. But her show sold out. Not sold out because you didn't buy tickets, but it was in a bar that only had limited seating, and once the seats were gone, you couldn't come in. So Pandora, I wasn't ready in time for her show, but her show was happening, and then I went to the red party. And that night, the winners of the red costume were two hot bear men, muscly bear hot guys. They won the red $500 red costume. And the red party is when we occupied the Sky Bar. The Sky Bar is the only bar that was open after 10 p.m. And that's where we went. But after the first night, they kept the pool bar open because they knew we would be there, and we were there much later than 10 p.m. So the Galaxy Sky Bar and the pool bar were the two bars that we went. And the pool bar was very breezy because obviously the boat's moving, so we would rotate back and forth. Sky Bar, pool bar, Sky Bar, pool bar, Sky Bar, pool bar. It was very nice, very convenient. Again, that night the food was closed, and we ordered room service because you get free room service, except for if you order after 11 p.m. when all the food closes, you actually get a $3.50 room charge to your room for delivery after 11 p.m. And that night we ordered room service and our food never came. So, but you better believe I was furious, beyond pissed, because again, this is our second night in a row going to bed hungry. Mad. And woke up in the Cayman Islands. I think the Cayman Islands was an 8 o'clock in the morning excursion, and this was my favorite excursion in the whole group. I invited my cruise group on all my excursions, and I'm like, this is the one that's very expensive, but I have to do a dolphin thing. So this year I did the dolphin / stingray swim. Oh my god, it was so much fun. And I do believe my spirit animal is a dolphin, or I might have been a dolphin in a former life, or I'm just really connected to dolphins. So this was a really fun excursion. I ended up hanging out with, again, making really great friends. One from Seattle, a couple guys from Houston. It was some guys from Michigan were in my group. It was really an amazing time. We got to swim with the dolphin, pet the dolphin. The dolphin did some tricks for us. We rode the dolphin. The scary part came with the stingrays. Now I actually did a stingray swim and a shark swim last year in Grand Turk. So I'm like, yeah, stingrays, whatever. So I knew the stingray thing wouldn't be that scary. But what I didn't know was it was completely out in the wild. Like the boat just randomly drove and said, okay, we're gonna stop when we see a bunch of stingrays. And these stingrays were huge, like probably 5 feet across. Oh my god, they were monster big, much bigger than the ones last year. And literally just out in the wild, like, hey, let me just go see if I can find some stingrays. So that part was like, oh, these are not domesticated stingrays. These are just like, look, I found a bird in the sky, let's chase it. You know, like, okay, that's different. And then, we did the normal, you know, stingray, back massage, stingray kiss, hold the stingray, just like last year. And then this is when it got scary for me. After everyone did their pictures with the stingrays, they're like, let's feed the stingrays. Well, I'm swimming around playing and having fun with people, I didn't hear him say it's time to feed the stingrays and pull out this big bucket of squids. Well, the squids were dead, which I didn't know at first either. But then he poured this squid juice in the water, and we suddenly got swarmed by hundreds of stingrays. Like, oh my God. And they were like touching you all over. Like they were swimming on your front, on your legs, on your side, on your back. And it was really scary because now I'm being attacked by stingrays. Not really attacked, but it was scary. So then I'm like, once I realized, oh, we're feeding them, I'm like, I want one, but I thought the squid was alive, so I was like freaking out, and I'm like, oh, it's not alive. I totally became a woman this trip, I'm not even kidding. Like, I was screaming like a woman. And half of our group was little Japanese and or Vietnamese women and men, a little group, and they didn't speak English at all. And I remember jumping on this little Japanese woman and like jumping on her like she was going to save my life, and she just started laughing, and it was a big hot mess. And by it was a big hot mess, I mean I was a big hot mess. But anyways, so finally I get the squid, and you had to hold it in your hand like this, and the stingrays would swim over your hand and then go out. Okay, so the stingray, I was still scared, I don't know why. The stingray is swimming over your hand, and I'm like, okay, and I throw the squid, and of course it lands on his head or back, and they're like, no, you have to hold it, it has to be under him, blah, blah, blah. I just got scared, I'm like, okay, so I grabbed it again, and then I put it back down, and another stingray came, and he sucked it out of my hand so hard that it actually felt like he bit me. I was like, ow! But he just sucked it really fast. But then it was fine, I wanted to do it again, so I did it like 3 more times. But again, I think they let me do it a lot because I was crazy, like screaming, very vivid, very colorful, very loud, very vibrant. Y'all had to get back on the boat about 3:30, and the boat left at 4. That night, the second show happened, which was at 4 o'clock. So I'm really glad I wasn't in this because I was definitely swimming with the stingrays and the dolphins. It would have been really difficult for me to get straight in drag after that. But we did go to the show. The second show was also amazing, of course. Latrice, Chanel, Jujubee, Mariah, Ivy Winters, Eureka Fish, Detox, Vicky Vox, Penetration, and Mimi I'm First. Mimi I'm First actually for real turned the party for me. I mean, she did an amazing production, and I live for her right now. After the show, I also skipped dinner again to get ready for the theme party. That night was the goddess party, the gold and the white. And before the gold and white party was also the Jinx Monsoon one-woman show. And so we got in drag during dinner, then we went to the Jinx Monsoon show in drag and watched the show. Her show was very, very, very good. And I couldn't help but think, you know, like the girls making fun of her on the show, like Roxy, and, you know, I'm a pageant girl, and she's like, well, I'm a theater girl. Mama, her theater truly showed in this production. And I couldn't help but think, I wonder if Roxy was a little bit jealous, thinking, wow. Anyways, it was an amazing show. And then after that, we went to the goddess party. And this is the only night that everyone kind of looked alike. Like, everyone was in gold and white, goddessy, things wrapped around their head. It was a good night. A lot of fun. Again, it was also upstairs in the Galaxy Bar, and they thankfully opened the pool bar for us, and so we had 2 bars open for the goddess party as well. This was probably my latest night. I was out very late because I didn't have to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I did have to wake up early because I went on excursions, but I did stay out very late as well. having fun. I did go back before my roommate, and she was like, stay. I'm like, Mommy, I have to get up. That night I did order room service, and I complained that I didn't get it the night before, and I was a little bitter, and I'm like, if I order room service tonight, am I actually going to get it? And she's like, yes, of course. And I'm like, how long does it take to deliver food? And she said 30 minutes. I said, all right, if I don't get my food in 30 minutes, I'm calling back. And 40 minutes later, maybe it was 45 minutes later, I called back, because meanwhile I'm still in drag. My makeup's still on. I didn't want to take off my makeup because I was afraid they would knock and I'd be in the shower. So I was waiting, completely undressed, except, well, I wasn't naked for the doorman, but my bra's off, etc. But my makeup's on, my hair's off, you know, all that. And fortunately I ordered food for my roommate as well, because when she came back and found out that yet again there was no buffet or no sandwich bar, no pizza bar, at least I had food for her in the room. And she was in love with me for that. Yeah, so day 5 was Cozumel, Mexico. Cozumel, Mexico is a little island, and we actually took a 35-minute boat ride to Playa del Carmen, and then once we were there we took a 45-minute bus ride to the Tulum Mayan ruins.
Casa. Comprende? Se comprende. But not today.
If you film,
because you have a cruise to take, right?
Look, I'm passing you.
So English speaking, all of you. Today I'm gonna try my perfect broken English.
I like broken.
Okay? First of all, I wanna give you the warmest welcome to my country, everybody. See? Welcome to Yucatan, Mexico, everybody.
Woohoo!
This was the most educational excursion that I did the entire time, but it was also the most exhausting for me. Meanwhile, I hadn't been sleeping much, you know, staying up all night, getting up early and going on these excursions. So I was a little bit miserable, but still having a good time with my group, just farting around, being stupid, and but when I found out that we were on this bus for 45 minutes is when I was like, ugh, hashtag over it. My battery is dying, so I might have to pick this up another time. Like, it's really dying. So yeah, I was very over the 45-minute bus ride. But then once we got to the holy city of the Tulum Mayan ruins, we had to walk for like 2 miles. And so now I'm double extra tired and double extra over it. And I also think that this Mayan ruins was very, haunted's not the word I want to use, but very spiritually heavy. I felt very oppressed. Like, it was draining. I was already tired and it was very draining. So as soon as we did the official tour, they're like, you have 2 hours to walk around and explore. Some people went down and actually got in the water because there was a beach there too. I was with my roommate and I'm like, girl, I just gotta go. I gotta go. I can't. I gotta go. I just want to go back on the bus. I just had to get out of there. I'm glad I went. I'm truly glad I went. But I learned a lot of things. Like, I learned that they had like a Hunger Games in the Tulum Mayan ruins. And it was kind of like a basketball game, actually. But the winner, the captain of the team that won, got to be sacrificed and sent to heaven as a reward. Can you imagine winning RuPaul's Drag Race and like, okay, now you get to be beheaded in front of everybody? But it was, again, a very spiritual city, and they were like giving you a better life. So it was like an amazing, yay, I get to die thing. It was a very big learning experience. It was really cool. I also learned that the Mayans were very, very short people. And the Mayan ruins was also talking about things that I already knew about the Mayan calendar. He's like, it wasn't the end of the world, just the end of the calendar. I'm like, hashtag we're still here. Hashtag obvious. But, you know, it was funny. He was a really nice guy. and did a lot of talking on the way up. On the way back, I slept the entire bus ride back, so I don't remember if he talked or not. But yeah, I was very exhausted. And on the boat ride back to the boat, we were just goofy and retarded, playing around. We also did a lot of shopping. This day was the only day that I really did shopping. Me and Noelle got a couple shirts. I obviously got my typical shot glass. I also bought hot sauce. It was fun. We also went to a Mexican restaurant that smelled so good. But I wasn't hungry, so we just did frozen pina coladas instead. It was a good day. We were just farting around, acting goofy. And then when we got back to Playa del Carmen, it was like we were in South Beach, like not in Mexico. Like there was a Sunglass Hut and a Starbucks, and it was like, are we in Florida? Or are we in Mexico? It was not touristy at all, in that there was nothing local. So I'm really glad that we left the city and went out into the ruins. Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry about that, my camera died, but I am back. And so after Cozumel, Mexico, that night was our black party. Black party was a it was, I can't remember the name, and if I can remember the name I'll put it here, but it was, I think, the Michelle Visage Lady of Darkness, or Darkness of the Night, and I went total dominatrix leather fantasy. Jason from Leatherworks here in Fort Lauderdale made me a custom outfit, and it's something I created. I basically wanted an assless chaps outfit, but in a skirt, black leather, but also had the dark blue piping, and blue piping is for anal sex. That means we like anal sex. A lot of people, I think the most common piping is yellow for golden showers and red for fisting, and neither one of those apply to me. So I did some research and definitely went with the dark blue. And he turned it. It was amazing. A lot of people were shocked because in the front, walking in, it's very boring, but when you walk away or in the back, it's like... The next day was the 6th day, and that was a day at sea, and by now a lot of people were exhausted. So this day at sea was a very welcome day, meaning you don't have to get off, you don't have to run and catch buses, you don't have to worry about getting back on the boat. It was a welcome, let's just rest day. And I definitely slept in this day. But at 4:00 p.m. we had our third major show with a big group of girls. By now a lot of people were tired, so honestly I was really thankful that I was the first show, because by day 6 my legs did not want to work and I was just beyond tired. So I was like, oh, thank God I went early. But day 6, the show was Angina. Roxy Andrews, she did a great Tina Turner impersonation. I'd never seen her do that. It was good. Shangela, she wasn't there. She recently broke a leg, and I guess if you have a major break, you can't fly for 6 months because your blood and clotting and something. So she wasn't able to make the cruise, but she showed up video upside down and introduced Alyssa Edwards, her drag mother. Which was funny because Alyssa did a Shangela song for her number, and of course the dancing diva turned it. Honey Mahogany did a singing live number. Rachel. Raja came out as a Hindu god with many arms. After her was Carmen. She did her typical I'm naked, here's my body, Victoria's Secret-esque. She came out with big, you know, feathers and things like that. And then we had Alexis Mateo. So she did a very pageanty number. She had 2 backup dancers with lots of feathers. Serena Chacha. And Serena Chacha, I mentioned before, had a little girl that was on the boat in the Alan Chuck group, a 12-year-old girl, come out and do like the first couple minutes of her number. It was cute. Pandora, she did Harmony Granger mix. It was really cute. And then it was Coco Montrese did a Janet Jackson number. And then after Coco Montrese, Jinx Monsoon sang live and closed the finale of the 3rd show. That night was our final theme party. It was our 5th theme party of the night, and it was our masquerade ball. And honestly, I think this was the most attended event of the boat. Probably because it just wasn't attended by us. Half of the, well, I would say most of the younger people, because typically, okay, the boat was 50-50. 50% of the boat was the Alan Chuck group, maybe more than 50, and then the other half was just the rest of the cruisers. Half of them were definitely the typical senior citizen cruisers, like I'm retirement age, I'm just going to eat bland food and gamble in the casino or whatever. That was definitely the stereotypical cruiser. But all of the younger people that were straight on the boat decided, hey, I'm going to this gay party that I keep hearing about. So at the masquerade party, we had all of us, and then a lot of straight people were coming and watching us walk and taking pictures and, hey, can I have pictures with you? It was a good time. It was definitely fun and truly enjoyable. Thankfully, by day 6, we learned that the food is not going to be open at the end of the club. So we started taking food back from the buffet and putting it in our fridge, and or ordering room service after the club. But by now we'd learned to order like 3 and 4 items instead of 1 because the portions were very, very small. Like literally, it was just, if you ordered an egg salad sandwich, because they only serve sandwiches, it would be 2 pieces of toast with egg salad and 5 chips. Not a bag of chips, it was 5 chips. And it was like, okay, I need 3 egg salad sandwiches. Hashtag I'm drunk. Alright, so day 7, my excursion was canceled that day. So that was my big excursion where everyone in my group was going. And it was really, really hard for me to find and reach out to the people in my group because I didn't know their room numbers. So that's the biggest thing I learned before going on the group, is to find out everyone in my group's room number so I can call them and be like, hey guys, we're going here, we're gonna meet at this floor at this time. It was a big disaster. So during the masquerade, I tried to run around and find as many people as I could and say, this is what's going on tomorrow. Unfortunately, I didn't think about it until the end of the night when I'm like, oh fuck, tomorrow, what are we doing? Yeah, so we slept in. I think the boat docked at 8 o'clock in the morning, but it was an all-day beach day. So I think we woke up at like 10 or 11 and went off the boat at 11. Plus, it was one of the tether boat excursions, but I know that the tether boat has a line and the people that book excursions get first priority. So I was like, if we just go, we're gonna be in a really, really long line. Let's just sleep in. So we slept in, and I'm glad we did because it was much needed. But we went to Stirrup Cay at the Bahamas, and it was really a unique experience because it was a private island chartered by the cruises. So whatever cruise was at that island was only that cruise. So it was just a huge beach, but it was private, just us. So there were several bars located and a couple buffets, and it was literally MSC food, the exact same thing they served every night in the buffet. And that's another thing that irritated me. I'll tell you that later because I'm going to go in the big about the ugly. Was the buffet food, and you could actually use your drink tickets to get drinks from the MSC cruise people. So that was good. But I actually started to get very exhausted and sunburnt, and I was like, you guys, I have to call it a night. And I went back a little bit earlier than most of my group, but they stayed and played, and I went back and rested. My cocktail party was that night. My cocktail party was the very last night of the boat, which if you watched my thank you to my lashes video, you'll see that I didn't get to meet some of the people in my group until the very last day, because if they didn't come up to me, I didn't know who they were. So yeah, but I had to go back, get rested, and get ready for my cocktail party with my group. I shared my cocktail party with several other people. I remember Pandora Box was there. Oh gosh, I can't remember. There was a lot of people there. I have a picture, I think, of our group, so I'll show you. It was free drinks for everybody, but again, the lines were so long. And the thing about being a drag queen, standing in lines, getting your drinks, the second you talk to someone and you're like, hi, yeah, how are you? You lost your place in line. Even if you're standing at the bar trying to get the bartender's attention, it's gone because you're talking to someone, and then when you look back, they're like, hi, who are you? I'm not trying to be bothered. That night I did go to dinner because I was already in drag. It was after my cocktail party, and I'm like, let's just give dinner another chance. And it was the typical MSC dinner. not flavored, not, I don't know, I just was not impressed. And then after that, we went back to the room and started packing because we had to put our bags in front of the room or whatever that night. And again, that night was the final night that I really deep cleaned and looked for my cell phone one more time just in case. I took every single thing out of my suitcase and repacked my suitcase, of course, really tightly. No cell phone. And of course my roommate and I rearranged our room, so we had to put it back to the way it was. You know, the two side-by-side beds, like a foot apart, kind of like a king size bed with a split in the middle. So we put it back like that and cleaned up all of our messes, like baby wiped the phone and, you know, all of our makeup off the walls or whatever there was makeup. Yeah, so that was a good time. And that night I didn't even go out at all. I was in drag, but I ended up getting out of drag because I was exhausted and was just busy packing. And by the time I was completely done packing and just beyond depressed that my phone is really gone, I was like, whatever. And we had to check out. The entertainers had the 7:30 checkout in the morning, so I was like, why go out? I have so many drink tickets left, but I didn't see the point. So we went down to the buffet, our very last night at the buffet, and sat with a group of people, got to meet some new people, and reminisced of the week and talked about it, and then just really went back to the room and checked out. And that was our last day of the cruise. It was a sad day because it was over. But what was funny was on day 2 or 3, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we've done so much and the cruise isn't even half over. But by now it's like, wait, why is the cruise over? It was very conflicting and confusing. Alright, so now it's the third part. I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the cruise. From my point of view, and this is just my opinion, this is not a representation of AlandChuck.Travel or any of the other drag queens, it's just my point of view. Like I've given you the entire video. The good thing about the MSC Divina, this boat was, oh my god, gorgeous. It was stunning. The Swarovski crystal staircase was beyond. I mean, just looking at it made you, if you were like, susceptible to strokes, it would have been like strobe light because the lights, it was just really amazing. Truly cute. It was a brand new boat, so they had a lot of brand new technology. The cruise ship we had last year, I remember on Carnival, if they called my room and left a message, if I listened to it once, it was gone. That was a slight annoyance to me. This cruise, we could save messages, we could delete messages. It had a modern day voicemail technology. It even had caller ID. So you could actually look at your phone and say, oh, Timothy Wilcox was calling. Or Justin Varney, or whoever. And it was awesome because you could totally screen your calls, or you also, when listening to your voice message, you could actually call them right back from their room, because sometimes if somebody knows your room but you might not know their room. That was definitely a good thing about the MSC Divina. I was very impressed. The unlimited drink package was something that Carnival, I don't think does, at least didn't do it for the cruise we did. That was probably the most memorable and exciting thing about the MSC Divina to me was, wow. Wow. It was really awesome. For I think it was $300, you get unlimited drinks, anything you want. And another thing about the MSC Divina, they had a private yacht club. So if you were very exclusive or beyond and wanted to be separate from the regular passengers, the yacht club had a private pool, it had 2 private bars, it even had a private restaurant. So if you wanted to only mingle and socialize with the elitists of the cruise, you could. And the cool thing about the yacht club is the entire yacht club was AlandChuck.Travel people. The confusing thing about the yacht club, before the boat took off, a lot of the girls are like, why am I going to book in the yacht club if I can't bring trade back to my room? Because because the yacht club, we were told that nobody could go back there unless they were in the yacht club, but that's not true. Like I went to Latrice's room, for example, and she just let me up with her key card. You had to be with someone with a key card to get up the elevator to the yacht club. But they had unlimited drinks as well, and I heard that they had a private butler with free drinks, but I think it was just you drink everything in your fridge for free and they replenish it. And I think you could even say, I only want vodka or only want whatever. But they only just refreshed your refrigerator. There wasn't an actual bartender there making you drinks. Which would be cool, weird, because can you imagine just having a bartender in your room watching you like, I'll take another Jaeger and Coke. But it wasn't like that. The bad thing about the MSC Divina was obviously someone from the MSC Divina employment stole my phone and or threw it off the balcony and or broke it and destroyed it and got rid of it. That's something I will never forget, and I'm still very, very upset. I think I mentioned it before, but when I went downstairs to complain, he was like, wow, so many people have lost their iPhones. I'm like, well, somebody on the boat is stealing them, and I choose not to believe it was my actual butler, because he was so nice and I tipped him really well. But I think it was the people that went on our balcony and cleaned the salt off the balcony. That was a bad thing. Our first night when we had dinner, after dinner, we got stuck on the elevator for almost an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And we constantly pressed the service button, constantly. Like, for a minute, we were just like holding it more than a minute. And at first we were trying to be jokingly and laughing about it, like, haha, this is funny. But the elevator was all mirrors on all four sides. There was no video cameras in the mirror. Bad thing. And there was no phone. So we just kept pressing the intercom, like, hello, ring, ring, ring. Maybe it was at a bad time. It was just after dinner. So maybe it was like a cruise shift change or something. It was so bad. So finally I started to like not panic. There was one girl on the elevator who was having a panic attack, but she fortunately held it together for the entire time we were in the elevator and didn't actually freak out until we opened the doors. And then she collapsed and couldn't breathe. But it was a unique bonding experience because everyone on the elevator, and I thought there was a guy in the elevator that was straight, but the more the shit hit the fan and the more panicked people got, he became a full woman. So it was kind of funny. Like, he's totally cleaned up. But I am the only one that had like something really hard. So I had my on the Carnival they call it the bottomless bubbles, which we'll talk about in a second. But I had a big cup and I was like bam, 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 bam on the elevator, and people are like, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, obviously nobody's on this floor, but maybe somebody upstairs or downstairs will hear the banging and be like, what's going on? Hopefully an employee will be like, are they working on the elevators? What's happening? So the entire elevator filled with fog and steam from our voices and our breathing. But when it started to become a little panicky was when the fog started to drip, and that's when it was like there's no air in the elevator, like we're going to pass out. So what we did was we actually took Noelle, my roommate Noelle Leon, was in the very front of the elevator, and she took one of her tennis shoes and wedged the door open. And we actually, that's the first thing we tried, because in America the elevators, you can force them open and they will open, but I guess in Europe that's not a safety mechanism. So we tried and tried and tried to open it, but finally we gave up and like, it's not going to open. So that's when we started banging. But finally we opened the elevator to get some air in, because it was really like a sauna. We were really, 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 really hot. So we steamed the door open, and then she put the shoe through the other elevator. And then I was looking and I could see a light. So if somebody walked in front of the light, I'm like, somebody just walked by. So Noelle or people would yell through the glass, hello, hello. And Noelle was sticking her fingers out. And finally a little old lady called and we're like, please get help, please get help. And the crews came, the people came. And they're like, it couldn't have been more than 3 minutes. Well, Really, because there was video and footage, and with the timestamp was 45 minutes from then, and the windows were already fogged. So don't tell me it was just 3 minutes. And the real shit was nobody at the cruise did anything. They took all of our room numbers, but did we get anything? No. They didn't even call to make sure we weren't suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And meanwhile, this was day 1. They didn't bring us gift bags. They didn't put chocolates on our pillows. They didn't do anything. And the elevator said maximum 18 people, and there was only, I think, 11 of us, and they did nothing. That was probably the worst event and most memorable that I will never forget of the AlandChuck.Travel cruise, was the being stuck in an elevator and my phone being stolen. The third worst thing of the boat was the hours of everything. But again, I don't blame them, because their typical client was 75 years old, or average mean age of 75. There are definitely a lot of people younger, but maybe a lot more older too. So I don't blame them for, you know, opening everything at 5 o'clock in the morning and closing everything at 10 o'clock at night. But when they know that 59 or 60% of the boat is going to be AlandChuck.Travel, shouldn't they have prepared to stay open later? Because we're a late night group. They didn't. Except for, thank God, they decided to man the pool bars, which was supposed to close at 10. They thankfully stayed open later for us, because if not, we would have been crammed into the Galaxy bar, and it would have been not cute. But every bar, the buffet, everything had ridiculous, stupid hours, and I did not like that. And the other thing that really annoyed me was the photo people. The photo people closed at 11. Well, our party started at 11, and I didn't want boy pictures running around the boat out of drag. So our goal every night was to get in drag by 11 p.m. and go down and take pictures before they close. It never happened. We were never in drag at 11. It was always 11:30 or whatever. So we just never went and got our pictures taken. And that was sad. And the last big thing that I've already mentioned several times was the food portion. The buffet, you make your own portions. But the actual dinner, the portions were horrible. The room service portions were horrible. And the food taste of everything was just bland. It was like no seasons, no spice. Either very old people cafeteria or very European, I'm not sure which. Either way, it was not really good. Beautiful boat, horrible food. Biggest differences that I really noticed between Carnival and MSC. On Carnival, the two things that annoyed me and I was like, ugh, over it, were the two things that I missed on MSC. One, the bartenders and waiters shoved alcohol down your throats. Like literally, we wake up and go have breakfast and they're like, would you like a mimosa? Like, every 5 seconds there's somebody in your face offering you a drink. They walk around with pre-made cocktails and they take orders. On the Divina, to get a cocktail, it was like pulling teeth. You know, they give away the unlimited drinks because they know you're not going to be able to get any. It's my big joke of the week. Like, I have unlimited drink packets, but to get drunk is going to be a mission. That was my annoyance. And also, Carnival was there every 5 seconds everywhere taking pictures of everything. Like, you go downstairs and you have like 80 pictures to choose from. Like, ooh, I like this. Because me and Noelle went downstairs and we wanted a picture from, you know, every night. And they only had the photographers at the pool party and the red party. And that's it. So Noelle and I got a picture of each because they captured us at those parties, and that was it. And that's who went down. And they only had 4 stations of professional studio pictures, which closed at 11, where Carnival had like 30. Like, you couldn't walk past and be like, hi, would you like a professional picture in front of this boat? Or would you like a professional picture in front of the Eiffel Tower? Or whatever. I missed it. Another different thing about MSC and Carnival that I like better on Carnival, Carnival has a bottomless bubbles package where you buy I was using this earlier as my soda, but you buy a big glass, and it's your soda glass, and they give you a sticker for your room key, which goes on your lanyard. They give you a sticker which goes on your room key, and it says bottomless bubbles. So you just go up to any bar and hand them your cup, and they fill it. On the MSC Divina, you only get 12 cans of soda the entire cruise, which is almost 2 cans of soda a day, and it's literally a can. Like, you can't get a bottomless soda drink because it's a can of soda, which I found very weird. And I guess the other big thing, which could have been a positive for normal people, but was a big negative for our group, was the layout of the boat. The clubs were everywhere. The bear party, when they had the bear party, it was in the DC Aurora bar, which was in the very back of the boat on the very top floor. Whereas the Galaxy Sky bar was in the front of the boat on the very top floor. And then they had a lot of band bars and other, like a karaoke bar, and all the bars were scattered throughout. Like, some would be on the 7th floor, some would be on the 9th floor, some would be on the 16th floor, in the front, the back, the middle. So if you did want a bar hop, you had to really, really go places, and you had to know where they were. Whereas Carnival, I don't know if all Carnival boats are like this, but the glory was, they were all centered around the Alchemy bar, which was the martini bar outside in the hallway, and all the other bars were lined up and down the same floor. So it was like the 21 and over floor, or I guess 18 for international seas. And all the bars were next door to each other. So when they actually did close the other bars to give us their bartenders, they were right next door. So if you wanted to go to the not martini bar, but if you wanted to go to the jazz bar, you saw that nobody was in there, you would obviously go to the White Heat bar. It just made more sense. But yeah, I talk about some of the negative things on the MSC Divina, but again, I'm going to say the same thing I said at the very beginning of my video. It's not where you go, it's who you go with. And that's truly the best part about this group, is that we are a family. A family just like any other, full of gays, straights, bisexuals, transsexuals, children, chubs, bears, you name it, they're in our group. Special people, people with special needs, people that are physically handicapped. We had all kinds of people. You know what we had this year that I didn't notice last year? Was a lot of really, really, really tattooed people. Like, there were several guys, like maybe 6 or 7 or maybe even 8, full body tattooed, like even on their faces and necks. And that's one of my fetishes. So I never even spoke to one of them, but I definitely noticed them. It was a good time. It truly was a good time, and by the time I post this video, hopefully I'll have my information for the Mayan adventure, which I'm not going to talk too much about now, but I will tell you that it's going to be a private charter, which means everyone on the boat is going to be in our group, which means we don't have to deal with the snotty old man at the table next to you at dinner, or whatever. Everyone that's going to be on the boat is going to want us, because even on the MSC, the employees were very excited about us being there. They really wanted to hang out with us and take pictures with us, and they wanted us to be there. It wasn't their fault that they had to close the bar and the restaurants at a certain time, and it wasn't their fault that they were overwhelmed and not able to serve us. They were very polite. They just, here's a long story. So yes, on the Mayan adventure, please, please, please call this number and book your Mayan adventure with Misty Eyez. Be one of my lashes this year, and I'm already thinking of some unique, fun ideas for gifts for my new cruise group. This last cruise group, like I said in my last video, was fun and amazing, but I learned a lot, and it's going to be even more amazing next year. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my recap. If you missed it, I hope I gave you some information that you were looking for, and many reasons why you should book the next cruise. Yeah, loving you is easy.